Welcome back, boys and girls. I hope you're all doing good, having a great day. Today we are discussing the new 5-star legendary gem, the Haunt Coil. I have seen few players claiming that it isn't that great because the gem has only 10% chance to trigger. Now, first off, that could make sense that it has only 10% chance to trigger. I have seen some player claiming that it takes you about 10 hits before the gem will trigger, and that is what makes it not good for a lot of reason. And other gems like the bottle hope, they are much better because one, easier for you to extend the duration of the gem by having beneficial duration. You don't need to work on the potency and have the feasting baron misery elixir to try and get the most out of the gems like bottle hope. And another thing that they are pointing out, that these gems will have 100% chance of getting trigger, giving you the damage buff, movement speed, and skill cooldown reduction. And so I want to say here before we dive more in depth, they are so wrong about the Haunt Coil. Haunt Coil, in my opinion, is much better if we compare it with Bottle Hope or even few other damage gems we have right now inside of the game. But before I go and debunk that, let's take a look at some of these plays which are completely wrong in trying to describe the Haunt Coil. If we go take a look at this post on Reddit, a quick analysis of damage from Haunt Coil to see if it's right for you. Analyst, let's compare the main buff on a rank 10 Haunt Coil, 45% damage versus a rank 10 Bottle Hope, 24% damage. And before we go any further, I want to debunk this straight away. A lot of people out there do not have rank 10 gems. They mostly try and get it to rank 4, rank 5, rank 6. That is where the most people are at the moment in the game. And if you go take a look at, let's say, rank 6 Bottle Hope, it gives you about, there we have it, it gives you about 17% damage increase at rank 10, and it has a trigger chance of 100%. It gets trigger and then go on a cooldown, while the Haunt Coil at rank 1 gives you 20% damage increase at rank 1, and this gem will be triggering versus each individual enemy, and most of those enemies will be dying before you need to trigger the Haunt Coil on them once more. Now, let's go take a look at the post once more and see what is saying. Haunt Coil 10% chance means it takes an average of 10 hits to proc before applying the damage buff increase using the attack stance. That is kinda so untrue. I will be showcasing that in a bit. It doesn't take you actual 10 hit before applying the Haunt Coil. Doesn't matter what class you're playing, it doesn't take you 10 hits. And on the other hand, Bottle Hope will be doing 24% increased damage on the first hit, provided you have activated the buff skill. Haunt Coil buff is considered a harmful duration effect, while Bottle Hope is extended by beneficial duration, both extended by item gems and etc. And now let me showcase it doesn't actually take you 10 hits to trigger the Haunt Coil. I will be putting the gem as an ox inside my stone vault and see you guys in a sec. By the way, the Bottle Hope at rank 6 is giving me 17% damage increase. It can trigger every 20 seconds. The duration that I get from this gem is about 11-12 seconds. And at rank 1 as an ox, the gem I have here inside of my stone vault, it will be giving me 20% increase damage against each individual enemy if I can trigger the gem on them, because it takes 10 hits like the person was saying. So we're gonna go here in the standard dungeon since the enemies has a lot less HP. Let's see how much I trigger the gem on them. You guys can see the green glow. It trigger on them, each individual enemy, and they just keep on dying. I don't think it really takes all that long to activate the gem on them, and I don't even have the blast radius thing at the moment from the Horned Coil. Now, we can see the Bottle Hop was actually on the cooldown while the Horned Coil actually kept working against each individual enemy, and the duration of the Horned Coil that I was getting is 12 seconds on these monsters. So it's a lot more beneficial, or more giving us a lot more damage in these easier dungeons as well. They don't have much HP, like I said, and the Horned Coil is still working. By the way, you can even see the Seeping Bile at rank, the 4% getting trigger versus these enemies. You can see the, sometimes you can see that glow. Hopefully you can see that. Even a 4% Seeping Bile get trigger on these enemies. So it doesn't actually take you 10 hits to trigger Horned Coil to the enemy. I'm basically seeing it on every single enemy. Now let's go back and take a look at the conclusion of that post. There we go. Conclusion: Horned Coil is a gem that favors a situation where enemies require more hits, like bosses, challenge rift, and some PvP scenario. I just showcased that it is working perfectly fine even in a normal dungeon, and activating on each individual enemy. And even for PvP, it should be working fine. I will be sharing my opinion at the end, but let me finish this first. The defensive stance can be helpful in some PvP situation, but will likely not see much use in PvE. Wow! Also keep in mind, in PvP, other players can mitigate harmful duration with high resistance. So while Horned Coil is a strong gem, it relies on the proc timing and buff duration, make it fall short of a S tier. So be caution of overhype. So there we go. That was the conclusion of this person. Now it is time to share my personal opinion, and that is gonna be: do not listen to such player who are saying the gem is not that great or not as the tier. They are completely wrong, and maybe not understanding how the gem is actually working. So first off, in PvE, the gem is working just fine. Dungeon, open world farm, challenge rift, whatever activity you want to do, the gem will work just fine. In PvP, again, the gem will work just fine as long as you're keeping your potency at a decent level. I said this in my very first impression of the gem video, in which we learned that the gem is actually taking benefit from potency and the Feasting Baron Misery Elixir. I said that if you have 3000 potency, 2000 potency, the gem isn't going to be for you. But if you're someone sitting at 6000, 7000 potency, you need to keep one thing in mind: those are pretty high level. And if we were to go and take a look at, let's say, my PvP setup, you guys will notice one thing that is pretty common out there right now. Most people are keeping their potency higher compared to their resistance. And so if you are someone sitting at 6000, 7000 potency, the only people who will able to reduce the effectiveness of your potency is going to be either the Krakens or the big spenders. They will have higher resistance compared to your potency, but in most scenario, even nowadays, even for me, my potency work just fine versus most players, unless they are big whales or Kraken. Then of course they are stacking up on the resistance. And lastly, the gem isn't as tier. Be caution of the overhype. That is true. Whenever a new gem drop, there is some hype around it, but in my honest opinion, the gem is actually as tier. Now you can be the judge of that, if it is good for you or not, depending on your build. But in my opinion, it is one of the best gems you can get right now inside of the Diablo Immortal. One of the strongest 5-star legendary gem that start with such a big damage buff. Like I said, one of the best gems to use, and is an ox as well. But there we go. That is my take. I would say again, do not listen to such player who are saying the gem isn't that great. In my opinion, they are just wrong. It is one of the best 5-star legendary gem you can get. Working on each individual enemy separately, and you can push that up to 12 seconds. Even in PvP with high potency, it will be working against each individual player and giving you either the damage increase buff versus them or the damage reduction buff versus them. One of the strongest gems, in my opinion, right now. You can build up from the 5-star gem category. Now I'm signing off. See you all in the next one. You guys have an excellent day. Take care. Later.